I guess on paper, I guess it's supposed to be my sternest test, but every fight, every punch is a stern test, every slip, every move. So I'm in there just doing my best every moment. That's what I'm taking every moment at a time. Opponent is an opponent, 2 arms, 2 legs. I got 2 arms, 2 legs. I'm in there doing my thing. And basically really just trying to have fun, make some money having fun. Hope you're having fun watching.
And that was Mark McPherson. His opponent, Jeff McCracken, suffered the only defeat of his career last July when he was knocked out in the 8th round by the hitman, Thomas Hearns. He fired his manager because he felt he took the fight too quickly. He has a new man in Jesse Reed.
Well, I went down to Las Vegas to train because there was no sparring up in Sandpoint, Idaho, and the people, some friends of mine that I was staying with, Jesse Reed, lived right across the street from him, and we kind of met on fate. So I started working with him, and ever since then I've been real happy with him as a trainer and a manager, and I think it's like a new start for me, and I'm really hungry and anxious to get started again.
So now that we have the background of both of these middleweights, we're ready for this encounter scheduled for 10 rounds. City Sal Marciano with Al Bernstein. We're in the midst of our 2.5 hours of top-ranked boxing. Here is Michael Buffer in the center of the ring.
And now, boxing fans, this contest is in the middleweight division, and it's for 10 rounds. The referee in charge of this bout is Joe Cortez. 10 rounds middleweights. In the red corner, wearing the white trunks with black trim, weighing 156½ pounds, from Hempstead, New York, with a record of 10 victories against only 1 loss and 6 knockouts. Boxing fans, Mark River McPherson. And in the blue corner, wearing the black trunks with red trim, weighing 157¾ pounds, from Sandpoint, Idaho, now fighting out of Las Vegas, Nevada, a record of 16 victories against only 1 defeat, 12 knockouts. Ladies and gentlemen, Jeff McCracken.
All right, fellas, you both know the rules of the New Jersey State Athletic Commission. I'm here to enforce them. When I say break, I want you both to break clean. If there's a knockdown, the fighter scoring the knockdown must go to the farthest neutral corner. You stay there until I signal you out. Fighter going down must take the mandatory 8 count. The 3 knockdown rule has been waived in this state. I want you to watch your low punches, your kidney punches, and your right punches. Is that understood? I want any fouling or any rough tactics. I don't want to take any rounds or disqualify either one of you. Is that understood? All right, shake hands, come out fighting at the bell.
Joe Cortez with the final instructions. These middleweights scheduled for 10. You see there Jesse Reed, the new trainer and manager for Jeff McCracken. And he does the same work for the junior lightweight champion Roger Mayweather. McPherson in the white from Hempstead, New York, 10-1 with 6 knockouts. McCracken in the black from Sandpoint, Idaho, 16-1 with 12 knockouts. And he got lots of national exposure last year, but the wrong kind. He took on Thomas Hearns with, I believe, just a week's notice and was knocked out by the hitman in the 8th round. And that's why he fired his manager and has hired Jesse Reed.
And Jesse, I'll be interested to see what differences Jesse Reed makes with him. Reed says he wants McCracken to be a little more aggressive. He thinks that McCracken concentrated too much on trying to be a boxer puncher, and he thinks that more aggressiveness from Jeff could be the ticket. Also wants McCracken to work on his defense and with a little more head movement so he can avoid more punches.
Scored on the round system, and if they go the distance, the decision will be made by the ringside judges Phil Newman, Frank Burnett, and Richard F. Murray. Right hand by McPherson. McCracken in the black trunks, looking sharp as well.
Expect McPherson to use this ring, and here at the Sands, it is a big ring, about a 24-foot ring, so there's lots of room for McPherson to dance, and he'll probably use all of it.
McPherson went lefty just for a second and scored with a right hand. We're halfway through round 1. He said before the fight, that is McPherson, that he would be switching on McCracken. And he said he would be moving and confusing.
He's a cutie. He'll try anything in that ring to confuse McCracken. And that is the way he should fight this fight. I think if he can take this the distance and peck away, would be his chance for victory.
saw him switch briefly to the left-handed style. Now he's back to the orthodox position. Countering right hand by McPherson in the white trunks.
If McPherson has any edge in this fight, it might be in hand speed. McCracken does not have the best hand speed in the world as a middleweight.
We will get the opportunity in this fight, unless there's a quick knockdown here, of listening to Jesse Reed in the corner. He's one of boxing's better trainers, and he utilizes those few seconds during the minute break to the utmost. McPherson with the lead right hand, and then he followed up. Final seconds of the opening round. And here in the opening round, Mark McPherson of Hempstead, New York, in the white trunks, looking extremely sharp.
And he's found a home for that lead right hand.
Another countering right hand by McPherson on the head of McCracken. That'll take care of the opening round. Let's go to Jeff McCracken's corner and listen in on Jesse Reed.
Not to use your left hand on this guy, all right? Stay a little busier with your left hand and start setting him up for those combinations. If you just sit and wait and try to box him too much, you're letting him build up his confidence, okay? I spit things right to your right. Don't give him any chance of getting confident in this fight. Okay. He's trying to counter you with a right hand over your jab, so double your jab and put a little more pressure on him, all right? Get a little rougher with him. Use your experience on him and your strength. I don't mean just running.
Some textbook instructions from trainer Jesse Reed as we take a look at some action from the opening round. And Jesse went right to the core of the matter when he said in his opening remark, "I know it's been a long time since you last fought." Remember that McCracken hasn't fought since last July 25th, and he was knocked out by Thomas Hearns. So he's due some rustiness. But Jesse Reed continued by saying that he wants him to utilize his left hand a lot more and get a little rougher with McPherson.
And I think he needs to. I gave the first round to McPherson because of that good counter punching. If he does indeed double up with his jab, as Jesse Reed suggests, I think the right hand will be there soon, and he won't give McPherson a chance to get off first.
And we heard Reed say that I think he wants McCracken to brawl some more with McPherson, and McPherson just to slug McCracken with the right hand to the head.
One of the problems that McCracken has is he gets hit with a lead right hand because he does not move his head enough, and McPherson is definitely doing that in this fight. And McPherson's hand speed is bothering Jeff McCracken, and I think you hit it, Sal. McCracken is rusty.
He had won his first 16 fights as a professional before he was decked by Thomas Hearns. And as I said, he hasn't fought since then. It's been a long time since July, so Jeff McCracken now trying to get back on the right track with a new trainer in Jesse Reed. But Mark McPherson is making it tough for him.
There's that right again. It is unlikely, in my opinion, that McPherson would be able to knock him down or really hurt him. It took Hearns 8 rounds to get McCracken out of there, and he hit him with some of those incredible right hands that only he is capable of in this division.
We're halfway through the second round. This is scheduled for 10. McPherson's older brother, Miles, is a defensive back with the San Diego Chargers. And he moves like he could compete in several other sports. McPherson has a terrific lateral movement. Less than a minute to go in the round. McPherson scores with a right hand. Back comes McCracken.
Jeff has not been using that jab as much as Reed wanted him to. There's one, but he has not been able to get that punch on track.
Hands up! Come on, Jeff! Come on, Jeff! Get that left eye!
Small cut on the bridge of McCracken's nose. Final seconds of round 2, and already we can see that McPherson in the white trunks is trying to load up on the right hand. He's been having a lot of success scoring with that hand.
Look at the good lateral movement by McPherson. It's keeping Jeff McCracken off guard.
Of course, that's keeping McCracken from being a brawler.
Come on, Mark.
We're back for round 3 between middleweights Jeff McCracken and Mark McPherson. Over the first 2 rounds, McPherson has looked pretty sharp. In his corner, Jim Glenn talked to him between rounds, and let's pick up that conversation. Find out what he said to Mark McPherson.
You understand? But don't get careless. You understand? The guy is still dangerous. Whatever you do, he can punch. You understand? I want the jab, 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 right hand, left hook, step off. Everything will come. You understand? If off the jab, everything will come.
Jim Glenn talking to his boxer, Mark McPherson, in the white trunks. I think the scenario is set in this fight after 2 rounds. McPherson wants to box, McCracken wants to slug.
And so far, McPherson is winning the duel. But, of course, when you're in against a strong fighter like McCracken, you need to sustain that over 10 rounds, and sometimes that's difficult. There's a good right by McCracken, but McPherson, look at him come back.
Simply has more hand speed than McCracken, and McPherson has belted him a couple of times here in round 3, especially with the right hand. McCracken wide open.
Well, I said I didn't think he could hurt McCracken. I think he's done so in this round, this 3rd round.
McCracken's hands are lowered now. He seems to be in a fog, and he is taking shots both to the stomach and the head. Halfway through the round, McPherson's going through McCracken like a hot knife through butter.
And believe me, this is an upset in the making. Very few people thought McPherson could sustain this kind of attack against Jeff McCracken.
Now, this is what McCracken wanted. He wanted a toe-to-toe battle, but even at this style, McPherson is beating him.
Now, here's the danger. Look at McCracken come back. If McPherson stays and slugs with him, he could still have a problem in this fight.
Right hand by McCracken. Less than a minute to go in the round. Another right hand by McCracken. Suddenly, McPherson has stopped throwing punches, and he's on the take. The beginning of the round, it was all McPherson. McCracken has come back.
And he manhandles McPherson in that corner, and that's what Jesse Reed wants. Look at him go to the body. That's the McCracken we expected to see in this fight.
Both of these middleweights have everybody on the edge of their seats. McCracken with a good right hand. McPherson had his left down. Now McPherson comes back with a quick rat-a-tat-tat. Final seconds, round 3. Action-packed round coming to a close. With Enswell, the piece of metal underneath the left eye of Jeff McCracken. You can see here in the opening minute of the round, McPherson had the better of it, but McCracken came back later.
And we'll see the comeback of Jeff McCracken as he got McPherson into a toe-to-toe struggle, as you pointed out, Sal. And this is when it turned around. He landed a couple of good right hands here. You'll see them coming up. And this was the kind of fight that McCracken wanted, and he was able to turn things around and get McPherson in some trouble.
A round that will test your boxing knowledge if you're judging at home. This is round 4, scheduled for 10. Would you award that last round to McPherson, who did so well over the first minute, or to McCracken, who did so well over the last minute?
It's a tough call, certainly. And, well, I went in between. I made it even because I didn't think there was a clear-cut winner, but I've gotten McPherson ahead 2-0-1 in this fight.
Jeff McCracken of Sandpoint, Idaho. Only 1 defeat in 17 pro bouts. That was to Thomas Hearns. In his 16 wins, he has 12 knockouts to his credit. Mark McPherson, Hempstead, New York, also has only one loss in his 11 professional fights. In his 10 wins, he has 6 knockouts to his credit. The only loss by McPherson in August of '82. An 8-round decision defeat to Mike Tinley right here in Atlantic City. And since then, he's won 2 in a row. He knocked out Larry Holland in 3 and scored an 8-round decision over Ben Serrano here in Atlantic City last January 29th.
And we did that fight in which he lost to Mike Tinley. It was a pretty close decision, and I think McPherson fought well in that one against another good middleweight prospect. They wanted McCracken to come at different angles against McPherson, something he hasn't done as a pro, and he hasn't done it tonight. He's coming straight forward. That's why he's been a target for the right hand.
Halfway through round 3. Check that, round 4. Round 3 was a battle that went one way in McPherson, then the other way for McCracken.
McPherson is doing much better on the inside in this round, much better than I would anticipate him doing against McCracken. In fashioning that terrific amateur career, McCracken was a whirlwind, especially on the inside. He has not been as busy as that in this fight.
I wonder what the effects are going to be on McPherson with this score with the right-left combination. McPherson was doing so well at the beginning of round 3, but McCracken came back. McPherson may have punched himself out a little bit in that round.
Well, he was lethargic until the last part of this round, when I think he's been landing the more effective punches.
Now McPherson once again on the outside of McCracken's power, throwing out the jab. He's been told time and time again by his corner to be the boxer tonight, not the slugger. We'll be right back. Back for round 5 here in Atlantic City. Middleweights Jeff McCracken in the black, Mark McPherson in the white. No knockdowns in the fight. Neither man has been severely cut. There's a small cut on the bridge of McCracken's nose. Round 3 was a dilly. Al, how do you have the fight scored thus far?
Well, I've got 3 rounds for McPherson and 1 even, so I have a pretty good margin for McPherson. Last round, I don't have him winning by much, but I do think he did more punching in that round.
Notice that McPherson is maneuvering the way he was earlier in the fight. When he went toe-to-toe with McCracken, eventually McCracken started to utilize his power. McPherson's got to keep McCracken away from him.
I think the key disappointment, I'm sure, that they must feel in McCracken's corner is that he's been so easy to hit. That has been the rap on him as both a professional and amateur. He does not move his head enough, and they want him to slip more punches. So far, he's not done that too effectively.
And McPherson, too, always remembered to go back to the jab. Right hand by McCracken on the chin of McPherson. Back comes McPherson with a combination to the head. We're halfway through round 5.
And except for that one brief portion of the 3rd round, there's been virtually no body work by McCracken. And if he hopes to win this by decision, he'll need to go downstairs to slow McPherson up for those later rounds.
Of course, now that we're in the second half of the fight, we have to look for fatigue from McCracken, who has not been in the ring in a brawl since last July. He's had lots of gym work, of course, but he hasn't fought since he was knocked out by Thomas Hearn. A left hand at the end of that exchange by McPherson in the white.
And in the past, McPherson has felt that he has not shown all his skills in the ring. He feels that he's been tight in a lot of his fights and hasn't been as effective as he'd like. Well, tonight he's showing most of his skills, and there is a cut right underneath the left eye of McCracken, Sal.
Earlier, we saw Eddie Aliano working with the piece of metal called N-Swell to lessen the swelling underneath the left eye, and now here in round 5, suddenly a cut is erupting. So McCracken's got a problem. Final seconds of the round.
All those lead right hands finally taking a toll. McPherson's landed a bunch of those punches.
Now, it's not the type of cut, obviously, that will pour blood into his eye because it's underneath his eye. However, that eye could swell very quickly. You have a close-up view of that cut on his left cheekbone. He's got one of the best cut men in the business there, Eddie Aliano. We could just see his talented hands there as he works on the cut. Jesse Reed is there as well, the trainer. Here's the action from the previous round as Mark McPherson scored with the right hand, opening up the cut on the left cheekbone. One of the ring physicians checked out Jeff McCracken and allowed the fight to continue. We are in round 6, scheduled for 10.
And you mentioned the question of fatigue and what kind of shape are these fighters in. McCracken says he's in better shape doing more running than he has in the past. He doesn't think he'll tire out. McPherson's never gone 10, so that's something to consider. He's gone 8 before. Scoring, well, I have McPherson ahead by a lot, 4-0-1. He hasn't won some of these rounds by a lot, but in my estimation, he's been doing most of the punching and certainly landed the most effective blows.
McCracken with the cut on his left cheekbone, and the area is swollen. Got to play catch-up here against McPherson in the second half of the fight.
It's the first trip east for McCracken as a professional, fighting in this part of the country, and that may have some bearing on the scoring as well. They know McPherson here, and they've seen him fight many times.
Good right hand by McPherson in the white trunks. Comes back with a left hook to the head.
The difference in hand speed is more remarkable than I thought it would be. McPherson much quicker than McCracken.
A right-left combination. The right was a glancing blow, but the left was a solid shot by Mark McPherson. That cut is reopened in the left cheekbone of Jeff McCracken. We're halfway through round 6.
Whether it's ring rustiness or what, this is not the same Jeff McCracken that we even saw early in his professional career. It's certainly not the same buzzsaw that we saw as an amateur when he was winning all Marine and all Army titles and fashioning 80 amateur wins.
Cut is opened on the bridge of the nose of McCracken. I should say it reopened. He had that earlier in the fight. McPherson has been successful when he has stayed away from McCracken's power, popping from the outside, utilizing the jab. McCracken had a bit of glory for about a minute in round number 3 when he forced McPherson into a toe-to-toe slugfest.
Why is Jeff McCracken getting hit so much? Real simple. He's standing straight up with his hands down, and there's no head movement. He's not bending at the waist, which is what Reed wants him to do in this new style. And so he's an open target for Greg McPherson.
Final seconds, round 6. Remember, coming up, junior welterweights Joe Manley and Tom Baker are scheduled for 10 rounds. A right to the body by Mark McPherson. And I think that surprised Jeff McCracken. Is not used to any body work here against a sharpshooter from Hempstead, New York. There's the slice underneath the left eye of Jeff McCracken. He also has a cut on the bridge of his nose as we begin round 7. Mark McPherson in the white trunks doing the damage.
And that was a posture McCracken would like to see more on the inside, working with McPherson. He's got to work when he's in there, and Joe Cortez is doing McCracken a favor. He's not breaking these fighters, letting him fight.
Jesse Reed told McCracken between rounds, "You're trying to box this guy. I want you to rough him up."
And if McPherson wages the rest of this fight at close quarters, he'll have more problems with McCracken.
And quickly here at the beginning of the round, the cut on the bridge of McCracken's nose reopened. But McCracken scores with the right hand to the head of McPherson.
And you saw McPherson shake his head as if to say, didn't hurt.
And McPherson filling McCracken's face with jabs.
I've never seen McCracken more tentative than this. He is not unloading with his punches. He's very reluctant to throw. And Jesse Reed said to him between rounds, he said, just let those punches go. Don't worry about where they're going to land.
McCracken's a pretty fair fighter who will do well with lots more work. The problem here is he's facing a speedier opponent.
And this is the best performance I think Mark McPherson has given in a long time, and McPherson has fought well. He just comes off an 8-round win over Benny Serrano. So he's a good journeyman, a good workman fighter, but he has risen above that level tonight, I think.
We're into the second half of round 7.
Now here's where McCracken, you get a good view of it, must work and work hard. Got to go to the body and the head.
This is not a good place to be for McPherson. Back to the corner and at close range with McCracken. He's covering up here. He's in a defensive posture. Countering right hand, however, by McPherson. You see McCracken trying to force the issue. He's cut. He knows he's behind. He's going for broke here. Right hand by McCracken. This is where McPherson got into trouble in the 3rd round.
He can't really afford to do this because McCracken is still strong and could hurt him.
Less than 30 seconds to go in the round. Right hand by McCracken. Now McPherson should be sliding out of there into the center of the ring. But back he comes with a response with his fists instead of his feet.
There was the hand speed by McPherson.
And while we're criticizing McPherson from fighting at close quarters, he's not doing too shabby of a job. The slow motion of round 7. They were in the neutral corner. That's McCracken, the aggressor. McPherson with his back to the corner. And as we said before the bell sounded, Mark McPherson doing a good job countering the assault of Jeff McCracken.
And fighting better off the ropes than you would expect him to, considering his style.
McCracken with a cut underneath his left eye as we come out for round 8. Scheduled for 10. McCracken was knocked out in the 8th round by Thomas Hearns last July. We're in the 8th now. Al, what's your scoring so far?
Well, it's going to look a little peculiar when it comes up on the screen. I have 5 rounds for McPherson and 2 even. I've given no rounds to McCracken. So by my scoring in any case, Jeff McCracken's got a problem.
2 right hands by McPherson in that last exchange.
And while McCracken did not fight as well on the inside as we thought he might in that last round, at least he got there, and that's got to give him a little bit of hope for these remaining 3 rounds.
McPherson making McCracken chase him.
And I think a key point is that this ring is built for that. This is a big ring here at the Sands. 24 feet. It certainly helped McPherson. Good right by McPherson.
They both threw rights, but Mark was there first. And that left cheekbone of McCracken is swollen. He's got pretty good vision. However, the cut is reopened. Now McCracken's got McPherson at close quarters again. And Mark is confident enough to hang on the ropes. I don't know if that's too smart. We're halfway through the 8th round.
I don't think that's what his corner wants, and I'm not sure that is the best place for him to be. He may be tempting fate, but so far he's covered up well on the ropes. He could get a little overconfident and do that too often.
Less than a minute to go in the round. I got to believe that McPherson believes that he could beat McCracken at his own game. That is to say, fighting at close quarters.
It might make these last 2 rounds tougher than they have to be for him, or it could be, Sal, that he is getting a little fatigued. McPherson just can't move as much. This 8th round is as long as he has been as a professional, or at any point for that matter.
Heading down the stretch in round 8. McPherson spins McCracken around. He tied him up a lot, blocked a lot of the blows. They trade right hands.
And despite the work on the ropes, this has still been a good round for McPherson.
Coming up round 9. The white comes out against Jeff McCracken in the black. This is round 9. Now, McCracken has fought with a cut on his left cheekbone since the 5th round and a big cut on his bridge of his nose since the 6th round. Neither man has been down.
And there are two things to note here in round 9. A, Mark McPherson has never been this far before, and B, one thing that's never been questioned about McCracken is his heart. I do expect him to at least make a serious effort to come back and score a knockout in the 9th and 10th, which would be, I think, his only chance for victory.
McPherson trying to keep that jab in the face of McCracken here in round 9. I think in round 8, McPherson, in effect, took the round off by hanging on the ropes and getting into a defensive shell and blocking a lot of the shots of McCracken.
And he is certainly in the posture now, I think, that he needs only to stay upright in this fight to score a victory.
McCracken with a soft right hand to the head of McPherson. I think when Jeff McCracken wakes up tomorrow morning, he's not going to like what he sees in the mirror. He's really been cut up in this fight.
And he won't like what he sees on the tapes of this fight if he gets a chance to see it again either.
We're halfway through the night.
He has remained the boxer tonight, not the boxer slugger, which is what Jesse Reed wants.
Now, McCracken may not be winning this fight, but considering the fact that he hasn't been in the ring since last July, it's not too bad of a performance. He's fighting someone who's almost doubly as quick as he is.
Well, that's true. The hand speed has given him a lot of trouble, but I think he really did expect a better performance against McPherson. And you have to label this an upset because I think many people believe that McCracken was pretty much a shoo-in in this fight. And I have to admit, I thought his strength would be too much for McPherson.
In the final minute of round 9.
And I'll tell you what, I'd love to see a rematch between McPherson and Mike Tinley. If McPherson would fight this way, that would be an even better fight than it was the first time.
Countering right hand by McPherson. Less than 30 seconds to go in the round. Right hand by McPherson, and McCracken felt that one, I'll tell you. And more and more, McCracken seems to be wide open. Straight ahead, the 10th and final round. If you keep it where it is. 3 more minutes to go for middleweights. Jeff McCracken in the black, Mark McPherson in the white. A terrific matchup. McPherson has been the quicker of the two. And he has opened up a cut on the left cheekbone and on the bridge of the nose of McCracken. And that occurred in rounds 5 and 6. McPherson with a right hand here in the early moments of the final round. Al, your unofficial view thus far?
Well, I believe that McCracken would certainly need a knockout to win. I don't have him winning any round. I have 2 even, but I think Jeff McCracken has got to let it all hang out here in this 10th round and hope that he can land a bomb.
McCracken with partial vision in his left eye. That cut in the left cheekbone has caused a swelling. Countering right hand by McPherson. Right on the button.
He has landed so many of those right hands. And I said McCracken had a good chin. He's shown it tonight, but he's absorbed a lot of punishment. Not a pleasant trip east for Mark McCracken, for Jeff McCracken, excuse me. He came all the way from Las Vegas to absorb a beating.
Jeff McCracken in 1978 was the national AAU champion at 165 pounds. 2 times he won the World Military Games, and twice he was All-Marines. As a professional, he won 16 in a row before he was decked by Thomas Hearns. Now in his comeback fight several months later. He's being beaten to the punch by Mark McPherson.
And this represents for McPherson a real step up in his career. This will make a difference for him. He has shown that he can beat a fighter who has been in there with some very good fighters, if in fact he holds on to this victory.
Third man Eddie Aliano kept McCracken in this fight with his work on the left cheekbone. However, Eddie Aliano couldn't do anything about the hand speed of Mark McPherson. Less than 60 seconds to go in the fight.
So far, the experiment is failing as far as Jesse Reed is concerned. They have not turned Jeff McCracken into a more of a brawler and an inside fighter. He's reverting back to really standing back and boxing, which is not probably the most effective style for him, and it's cost him against Mark McPherson.
Less than 30 seconds to go in the fight, and the only thing Mark McPherson has not done is knock down Jeff McCracken. He has done everything else. Right hand by McCracken, but back comes McPherson with a couple of right hands as we head for the bell.
And at the end, it's McPherson, not McCracken, who is coming on.
So they go the full 10 rounds, and now it's up to the ringside officials, Phil Newman, Frank Burnett, and Richard F. Murray. And they will use the round system in their judgment. Al, your view.
I gave the fight to Mark McPherson. I had it 8-0-2. I gave him the last round. I gave no rounds to that man, Jeff McCracken. You see Jesse Reed and Eddie Aliano. Not a pleasing performance for them, but for that man, Mark McPherson, who comes in here off a win over Benny Serrano, and after a loss to Mike Tinley a few fights ago, it's a big win, and you'll see some of the action here.
Some slow motion view of the 10th and final round. You see McPherson heading for the bell by continually punching McCracken. Excellent 10-round fight. It's hard to argue against you, Al, that McPherson had most of the round.
Yeah, the hand speed was the big difference, and going into this fight, I sensed from McPherson when I talked to him a couple times today that he was pretty loose, and that has been a problem for him in the past. There have been fights where he's been tight. He hasn't been loose enough to show his true abilities. He was concerned that that might happen to him again tonight. It did not, and he fought, I guess, maybe one of the best fights of his career against McCracken.
So they're adding up the cards, and we'll have the decision for you in just a moment. Be mindful that our next bout is another of the co-features, and that is scheduled for 10 rounds between junior welterweights Joe Manley and Tom Baker. Here's Michael Buffer in the center of the ring.
Boxing fans, here is the official scoring of this exciting 10-round middleweight contest. Judge Phil Newman scores it 6-4. Judge Frank Burnett scores it 7-2. Judge Richard F. Murray scores it 7-1, 2 rounds even for the winner by unanimous decision, Mark McPherson.
Mark McPherson wins all 3 cards, 6-4, 7-2, and 7-1-2. Racks up his 11th win against 1 defeat. Jeff McCracken now is 16-2. You're watching Top Rank Boxing on ESPN. And who can that be now?
Just scored what has to be termed an upset victory over Jeff McCracken. I'll let everybody in on a secret. I said I thought Jeff might be a little too strong for you, and you said you thought so too.
Maybe too. He was very strong. I thought coming into this he might be a little bit too strong, but I knew I had the moves and the finesse to stay around him, and I did it. I did it. The guy was strong, kept coming, kept throwing punches, didn't tire. I hurt him, and he came right back. It was really shocking because I hit him with a couple good shots. My hat's off to Jeff McCracken, but I'm coming up, and I did it. All right.
Okay, let's take a look at some of the 3rd round action. This is action in the corner, and take a look at this now, Mark.
Oh, yes. He made some good shots here. Ooh, that was a good shot. He was hurt. He was hurt here.
Well, Mark McPherson happy with this work.
All right.
Mark McPherson excited with that work. You were able, I thought, to keep your discipline and keep boxing him rather than engage in a slugging match, and that may have been the key to the victory.
Yeah, well, a lot of times I wanted to slug because I figured I could take him out if I hit him with some of my shots. But every time I came back to the corner, they said, stay away from him, keep the jab, keep moving. So I said, hey, y'all see what I'm not seeing out here, so I better do what y'all say.
One last thing. Do you think that this win pushes you into a class of fighting better fighters?
Oh, definitely. Well, like I said before in the pre-interview, I feel like I've been in that class for a while, but I've never been able to put together out here because of my lack of experience. But with a fight like this against a name opponent, I'm starting to put together my stuff. I'm relaxing a little more. You saw me drop my hands. That wasn't really showboating. That was more for me than it was for Jeff to really just loosen me up and, you know, say that I'm the boss. I'm in command here.
Okay, Mark McPherson scores an upset victory. Let's go back to Sal Marciano.
Thanks, Big Al. Our co-feature coming up, Junior welterweight.
Never seen this swing on the Pro Tour. His name is Iron Mike, a mechanical device developed to test golf equipment. His swing may be perfect, but he's not much fun in a foursome.
Middleweight scheduled for 8. Dennis Miller has the introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, this next contest is scheduled for 8 rounds of professional boxing in the middleweight division. Your referee, Larry Hazzard. Introducing first, in the red corner, from Lakeview, New York, weighing in this evening at 157.5 pounds with a ring record of 11-1 with 6 big knockouts. A big Garden State welcome to Mark McPherson. His opponent in the blue corner, who has just asked me to dedicate this fight to everyone in the arena this evening. From the Bronx, New York, weighing in this evening at 159 pounds with a ring record of 15-4-2 with 2 knockouts, here is Hector Rosario. 8 rounds.
Nice clean fight. Keep your punches up at all times. No holding, no pushing, no unnecessary wrestling. When I give you a command, I want you to obey that command. In case of a knockdown, fighter who scores a knockdown, go to the farthest neutral corner, remain in that corner until I tell you to come out. Fighter going down, you must take a mandatory 8 count. 3 knockdown ruling has been waived, and the bell cannot save either of you if you go down toward the end of a round. Watch your low blows. Watch the illegal use of the head and the elbows. You have any questions at this time? Okay, shake hands. Come out fighting at the bell.
Larry Hazzard, the referee. You're looking at Mark McPherson, 11-1 with 6 knockouts from Lakeville, New York. He wears the black trunks. His opponent, Hector Rosario from the Bronx, New York, with a record of 15-4-2 with 2 knockouts, who has dedicated this fight to everyone in the arena, everyone watching at home, everyone on the planet Earth. Now, Mark McPherson is enjoying at least a 4-inch height advantage. We don't know if that'll be a factor. We do know that Mark is very agile, very quick with his feet and his hands. And he struck first with the left hand.
And Mark comes in here off a very good performance on ESPN. March 31st, he beat Jeff McCracken in a 10-rounder, and I mean he beat him decisively. He just won virtually all those rounds, and McCracken was a fighter who many people believe going in was the favorite against McPherson. So he comes into this fight with Rosario with a lot of confidence.
Mark McPherson's older brother, Miles, a cornerback for the San Diego Chargers of the NFL.
And he is here tonight to watch his brother in action.
Mark's only 21 years old. Looks like he has a lot of talent. Good countering right hand by Mark in the black trunks. So far, Hector in the gold has been rather quiet.
And Rosario fought a pretty good fighter himself last time out. He lost a split decision to Tiger Walker in the Felt Forum April 13th. So he's been in with some good fighters himself, some good middleweights.
Lead right hand by McPherson on the head of Rosario.
Rosario is more of a counterpuncher type, so he will wait for McPherson to bring the action to him. There was a good left hook by Hector.
Now, McPherson has got such good feet that he is able to stay away from Rosario's power and then dart in, throw a shot, and get out. Good lateral movement, too, by the youngster in the black trunks who just connected with the right hand to the head of Hector Rosario.
Mark McPherson definitely has the edge in both foot and hand speed. And he may have the edge in power as well. Rosario only has 2 KOs among his professional victories.
A couple of body shots by Rosario. Right to the body by McPherson. And a strong left jab there by McPherson. So Mark is showing him a little bit of everything. McPherson in the black trunks. And there's a left hook to the head of Hector Rosario. You saw the result of it as Rosario was moved to his left. Pretty good shot. Into round 2. It's scheduled for 8th. The intrigue here is, can Hector Rosario catch the very elusive Mark McPherson? And can Mark McPherson, using his lateral movement and a superior hand speed, stop a hard-hitting Hector Rosario?
First round, undeniably, I think, went to McPherson. There's a good lead right hand by McPherson, and those were the kind of punches that won him the first round. I think Mark is at an important juncture in his career. After that McCracken fight, where he looked so good, he's gotten off to a good start here now. At the age of 21, he may well be close to cracking into the top 20 of the middleweights in the world. I don't think that's an overstatement. He's got that kind of ability. There's no doubt about it. His only loss came in a split decision loss to Mike Tinley, a fight that was seen here on ESPN. And Tinley, of course, a very good middleweight also.
Now, you pointed out that tonight we have a bigger ring than usual here at Resorts International. Add on 2 more feet. It's a 20-foot ring inside the ropes. This has got to be a good advantage for Mark McPherson.
Because of that foot speed that you talked about, a bigger ring is always a help to him because he can maneuver his opponent around and hit him from different angles. And that's what we've seen him do tonight against Rosario.
And, you know, we're going to get into that subject, too, in our featured bout as well when Tyrone Crawley is scheduled for 10 rounds against Edwin Curette right after this bout, because a bigger ring has to help Tyrone as well.
Be a big advantage to him. He's got tremendous lateral movement. Now there's Rosario inside throwing combinations. That is what he'll need to do against McPherson. He's got to be busy. Rosario, not that big a banger, as I said, with only those 2 KOs. So what he's got to do is put his punches together and make them count.
And in the final minute of round 2. Rosario with a good hard right to the head. Now he's doing some banging of his own here in round 2. So far, McPherson has been able to keep Rosario within his own range by utilizing the left hand. Coming up, round number 3. If you keep it where it is. Miles McPherson, cornerback for the San Diego Chargers. His younger brother, Mark McPherson, wearing the black trunks, middleweight. Now into round 3 of a scheduled 8-rounder against Hector Rosario in the gold. In that last round, round 2, Al, I saw that Rosario was able to hit more often and with more accuracy. He did something in that round to at least make him more competitive.
Once he got inside, he was throwing more combinations, and he gave Mark McPherson something more to think about defensively. In the first round, Rosario did very little offensively, so McPherson was teeing off. There's a lead right hand by Rosario. You know, Mark McPherson to the right and getting out of the way of shots.
Another good right hand by McPherson, who isn't a showboat. He knows he has that ability, but he doesn't flaunt it.
He's just a good ring technician.
Rosario with a right uppercut, nothing else though. Right hand by McPherson. McPherson is just too quick for Hector Rosario. Final seconds, round 4. Right hand by McPherson, and Rosario's breathing a bit heavily now as we approach the halfway mark of this scheduled 8-rounder. You're watching Top Rank Boxing on ESPN. We'll take a timeout. We'll return to Resorts International in Atlantic City. For 8 middleweights, Hector Rosario in the gold, Mark McPherson in the black. And what we're watching here is some very efficient work by Mark McPherson in the black trunks, both offensively and defensively. Now, this is not to say that Hector Rosario hasn't got a shot here, but he's having difficulty reaching, finding, and hitting Mark McPherson.
Both these fighters, interestingly, have worked on increasing their power in the gym. Both their trainers talked about it to me, and that's really an important thing for them, especially for McPherson, I think, because we talked about the fact that he does have the ability, apparently, to move into the upper echelon of the middleweight division. The big question will be, can he hit hard enough to do damage to those top middleweights?
Right hand by McPherson at the end of that exchange.
For Rosario, with only those 2 knockouts and 15 wins, more punching power is an obvious necessity, and he's not been able to hurt McPherson yet in this fight.
If Mark McPherson develops power, and he's only 21 years old, given that he is so quick with his feet and his hands, and he has some very natural ability as far as boxing is concerned, he will be a force in the middleweight division.
There you see my scoring. I have McPherson ahead 3 rounds to 0 with 1 even. I made the last round even because of the quick start of Rosario, and McPherson didn't do as much damage as he had in other rounds. Good straight right hand by Mark. This fight is very reminiscent of his encounter with Jeff McCracken. Very similar tempo with McPherson just taking control, doing a good workmanlike job.
I'm sure, Al, there are many boxers watching tonight, both amateur and professional, who wish that they had Mark McPherson's natural ability to maneuver, both with his feet and his hands.
Good stiff jab by McPherson, and there's yet another. And you know, the interesting thing is at the age of 21, you assume that McPherson will continue to improve.
He could use some more upper body strength. But once again, we keep pointing out he's only 21. Less than 30 seconds to go in the round.
Wait! Hold it. Let him out.
And once again, we have a slip in the very same spot. Earlier this evening, we had a fighter have his left foot go out and hit the timekeeper's stopwatch. But time continues on. With a right hand, bada boom.
How do you know when it's a bada bing or a bada boom, Sal? That's what I want to know.
Depends where you grow up when you're younger.
Okay.
We're into round 6, scheduled for 8. Neither Hector Rosario in the gold or Mark McPherson in the black has tasted the canvas. Neither man's been cut. We have a boxing show here by Mark McPherson.
Now there's McPherson using the jab and following with the right hand, something he really didn't do effectively in the 5th round. But he may have been setting up the right by using that left exclusively.
As if he was getting bored, McPherson switched lefty for just a moment there.
Well, that's something we saw Terrence Ali do to great effectiveness in the last fight. You know, watching McPherson, you'd never think so, but one of his problems has always been that he comes into a fight not loose enough. He's tight and he feels nervous. And when you watch him, you'd think that would not be a problem because he looks so natural in the ring, and his movement and everything seems so easy. We see Rosario with some good head movement, and Rosario is not a bad defensive fighter, and it is only the hand speed of McPherson that has allowed him to be hit so much, I think, in this fight.
Halfway through round 6. You see the difficulty that Rosario has in reaching Mark McPherson. We talk about a fighter's perimeter of power. And Mark McPherson living on the edge of it against Hector Rosario, staying away from Rosario's power. And yet he's able to hit him like he did then with that left hand he brought up from the hip.
McPherson always giving Rosario different angles to hit him from and to avoid being hit by.
Step back.
So McPherson always coming at Rosario from a different vantage point.
Punch out, let him out. All right, no hold, let him out of there, step back.
Al, I think they could go on for 20 or 30 rounds fighting the same way, with Mark McPherson outboxing Hector Rosario.
This is much the same as what we saw from McPherson against Jeff McCracken. Fight very similar to that in nature.
That's what happens when you get opposing styles. But McPherson, who has been causing a lot of wind here with his misses because McPherson is so elusive.
Okay, how we doing?
Good.
Okay, watch your head inside now. Be careful. Yeah, he's okay.
You got it for 2, 3, 4. Really? Okay. Show me the ball.
McPherson's dad, Gene, in the corner.
Good.
Here's some action from the round previous.
Right hand off. Don't stop. Come back with the hook. And then move out.
McPherson in the black, misses with a right hand, and wallops Hector Rosario with a left hook to the head.
Okay.
Seconds out.
Hector Rosario with a puzzled look on his face. He hasn't been able to really batter Mark McPherson for maybe just a punch. Maybe gets a punch in, but that's about it. We're into round 7, scheduled for 8.
And you can almost see a look of resignation on Rosario's face, shaking his head as if, well, I don't know what I have to do to try and hit McPherson, and nothing so far has really worked. Now, I think one of the things that Rosario is going to have to try and do is get inside on McPherson. On the outside, he's having a lot of problems. The problem is that Rosario himself likes to fight on the outside. He's really more of a boxer-puncher type. So when he gets inside, I don't think he feels totally comfortable there either. And as this fight goes on, of course, Rosario, it would appear at this point, would very likely need a knockout to win. And not much solace can be taken from the fact that McPherson has never been down as a professional.
Good left hook at the end of that exchange by Mark McPherson, who looks like he's trying for a knockout here. I think he's pretty confident he's way ahead on points, and he wants a KO in his knockout column. And that's been the rap against him, his lack of power. Hector Rosario looks like a very inviting target. His left hand is really low now here in the stretch of the fight.
McPherson has stopped there, used the jab again, but he has stopped using that punch in this round. Looks like he's looking to load up on the right, not throwing it. There's that combination punching.
We talked so much about hand speed. Moments ago, they traded rights, but McPherson was there first.
And a big left hook by Rosario may have stunned Greg McPherson. Let's see.
Watch your head. Let him out. Let him out.
This is the next to last round. And there's a cut. We've got some blood on the nose of Mark McPherson. So Hector Rosario Rosario's drawn first blood, and this is the 7th round. Looks like it's on the bridge of the nose.
Strange place for a cut, but it should not be a major factor at this point in the fight in the 7th round.
Coming up, the 8th and final round. Action from round 7. A right hand by Hector Rosario, and then a left hook to the head. We're told by referee Larry Hazzard that the cut that developed on the bridge of the nose of Mark McPherson in the final minute of round 7 was the result of a butt. Our replay shows that it could have been a right hand by Hector Rosario. At any rate, it is bleeding again. It is not obscuring Mark's vision. It has been the only positive thing that Hector Rosario has done in this fight. It's been all Mark.
And I thought in that last round, Rosario landed a lot of good shots, and I was willing to give him the round. The only round I've given him in this fight, so I have McPherson ahead 5-1-1. Still a very big lead as we head into this final round.
McPherson's got some very nice style.
As we watch him develop in this fight as we did against McCracken and in earlier endeavors he's had here on ESPN, you've got to be impressed with his skill and his technical ability in the ring, and I think that the missing piece from the puzzle may be the punching power which they hope to develop.
McPherson's jab is pretty sharp, and it is heavy. However, when you consider how many times he has hit Hector Rosario with that right hand and he hasn't hurt him, you have to say, well, he just could use a little more power, a little more TNT. A right hand to the head of Rosario backs him up, and I think he's got a cut in his right cheekbone. Rosario's right eye is closing quickly, too, as we have less than a minute to go in the fight.
Let him out.
All right, let him straight out. Step back. Oh, no. Don't punch on.
And there is one other thing we have not seen from McPherson much. Good right hand by McPherson, and that is body work. Not too much of that, but right now he's headhunting and doing a good job of it. There may be yet another cut on the left eye of, there is indeed a big cut over the left eye of Hector Rosario, and this one is a very bad one.
Very odd, isn't it, Al? It's for 7 rounds. Rosario was taking shots from Mark McPherson. Here in the 8th and final round, he is cut on his right cheekbone and then cut on his left eyelid. And the cut on the left eyelid is streaming blood down the left side of Rosario's face.
I'm surprised even with this small time amount of this fight left that Larry Hazzard hasn't had them stop and take a look at the cut at least. It is really a bad gash.
Hazzard taking a closer look now. You can see him moving away, allowing the fight to continue, and that'll do it. And Hector Rosario is a bloody mess after going the full distance with Mark McPherson.
And that last round, the 8th round, really punctuated as you take a look at Hector Rosario, the blood coming from a cut on his right cheekbone and also his left eye. And that's Mark McPherson, who has got to be pleased with his work, as I'm sure his handlers, Gene McPherson and Jimmy Glenn, are. That 8th round punctuated what was a very good effort by Mark McPherson, and I think he is starting to make some move in the middleweight division, and that's his brother Miles, the cornerback for the Chargers, coming in there to offer his congrats.
Remember, coming up, lightweights Tyrone Crawley and undefeated Edwin Curette. Our featured bout coming right up after we get this decision. Let's take a look at some action from that 8th and final round. You saw McPherson lashing out with the right hand that cut Hector Rosario on the right cheekbone, and then subsequently in that last round, he really sliced him on the left eyelid. There you see the slice and the cut.
And had there been more time left in this fight, I am positive that that cut would have prompted a visit from the ring doctor at the very least, and in all likelihood could well have stopped this fight. But it was ironic, as you said, that it was not until the 8th round that a McPherson right hand did that kind of damage.
Here's the official decision from the ring announcer, Dennis Miller.
Boxing fans, we have a unanimous decision. Judge Tommy Kazmarek scores the fight 6 rounds to 2. Judge John Stewart scores the fight 7-1. And Judge William Castro scores the fight 7-1 for the winner by unanimous decision, McPherson. McPherson.
Mark McPherson of Lakeville, New York, now 12-1. Hector Rosario drops to 15-5-2. Coming up, our featured bout of the evening on ESPN.
There's one word that best describes Miles McPherson: versatile. He can play all the defensive backfield positions, return punts, and haul back kickoffs. One only has to look at his family background to understand how Miles...
Hector Rosario drops to 15-5-2. Coming up, our featured bout of the evening on ESPN.
There's one word that best describes Miles McPherson: versatile. He can play all the defensive backfield positions, return punts, and haul back kickoffs. One only has to look at his family background to understand how Miles comes by this talent. One brother, Mark, is a world-ranking middleweight. In fact, many ringsiders say he'll fight for a title before too long. And the younger brother, Donald, was a heavily recruited high school quarterback last year, and this season he's playing college ball at Syracuse. Mom and Dad, Margaret and Jean McPherson, have always been there with their support, always offering encouragement in one way or another.
I think it was probably kind of selfish on my part because I just like to play, so I just played with them, and they just took it up, and they were all pretty good at it.
I was just enjoying it as it was happening in school, and therefore, like I said, their father could see it, but I just enjoyed them as they were little, coming up each day at a time. I enjoyed what they were doing and how they were successful in what they were doing.
I think he was trying to get us out the house. He told us to go and try for the team. He's come to every game since then, and he's been supporting us ever since then.
Our family's very important. Like Miles was saying, they come to my fights, and we go to see him play. We go see my younger brother play. Ever since we started, the whole family would be at the games, at the fights.
And indeed, you can count on a big cheering section anytime either of the boys participates, but sometimes it's, well, a little easier to cheer for Miles. Oh, no favoritism involved. It's just that, well, Mom and Dad think boxing is a little more dangerous than football.
I can't say I was completely against it. I don't like it, but he's good at it, and I support him because he wants to do it. And I'm sure his father and his trainer love him so much they wouldn't let him get hurt, although it is a violent sport.
Well, I think it's a pleasure watching Miles and my other son Donald play football, but watching Mark and being in the corner with him, that's agony. It's the best way I could describe that. It's a terrible feeling.
Is that tough, though, sitting at ringside when someone's out there throwing punches at him? Do you feel that, too?
It's tougher watching on TV. When I went to his fight, I was pretty...
Number 3 rated WBC contender. Pearl, fighted by judges, and interestingly, one of them is from Puerto Rico. The other 2 from Venezuela. It's going to be very to win a close decision. In fact, a lot of people... The fight was held here in San Juan last May. It was very close. Rosario on the left. Elizondo at the age of 27. Edwin just turned 21 2 days ago. And, of course, the big question mark with Rosario, the wrist. The twice broken right wrist. He has fought only once in 21 and a half months. Has been inactive since last May 1st. And in the last 2 years, that wrist has been in a cast for 9 months. But according to those who've been watching him sparring and training over the past month, he still has that very potent punching power. First round action from San Juan. Good right followed by a flicking left, and another good right landed by Rosario. And Rosario puts the pressure on a right to the side of the head, and a left cut in, and down goes Elizondo. So out of nowhere, Rosario with lightning sends Elizondo down for the mandatory 8 count. He's up at the count of 5 as Davy Pearl looks into his eyes. And And the round resumes with about 1 minute and 10 seconds left in the first round, and Elizondo in immediate trouble again. A right, down he goes for the second time in the round, and that's it. Davy Pearl has stopped this fight 2 minutes into the first round.